Peace. Peace, good people. Salute. Salute to everybody. Excuse my little delay, but we are in action. Salute. Salute as I'm checking my settings to make sure I am good. Looks like I'm straight. Peace, everyone. Salute. Let me check in with the family and see if we got some people up in here. Hold on 1 second. Peace and love, everybody. Oh, yes, we got some folk joining. Salute to y'all. Hope everybody is doing well. I see you guys making your way in. Again, apologies for the few minutes of delay that I had in preparing for you guys this evening. I hope everybody is doing good. Salute. Let me start saluting my good people as I like to do, right? Get the energies going. Salute to the King Chris in the building. Nice to see you, King. Salute to you as well. Who else we got up in here? Salute to the King Rodney. He says, we bow to the Queen, SugarFreeMars, and we salute the chat. Absolute facts, King. Big love to you. Nothing but gratitude for your energy and your constant support, King Rodney. It's always wonderful to see you in the building. Infinite love to the King Rodney. Salute to my twin, the King, Daryl Anderson in the building. He says salute to the beautiful Queen, aka my twin, Sugar Free. Salute to the rest of the kings and queens in the chat. Always 10 toes with the love on deck. Salute to my twin for being in the building. I appreciate you, King. Always lovely to see you. Salute to the King, DFL in the building. He says, big up chat. Salute, SugarFreeMars. Thank you, King. So much good energy going up in here today. It's wonderful to see you. I appreciate all the salutations, all the love I'm getting from the good people. Oh my goodness, my beautiful sis is in the building, Cameron Fields. Hey, beautiful sis. What's up with you? Always excited to see my sis come through and show that love. Salute to my beautiful mama love in the building, the Queen, Chiquila Fields. She says, salute to the warrior queen, SugarFreeMars. Peace to the chat. Yes, indeed, beautiful love. It's always wonderful to see you. I'm excited to see you. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, we got the King. Des 215 in the building, 10 toes with his salutes. Big love to you, King Des. Wonderful to see you as always. Hold up, because I always got to take a quick pause when I see the King and the Coach Hudson, 10 toes in the building. Salute to my comrade. Okay, he says, we in here. Salute to the Queen of Boxing Media, my number one comrade in these boxing streets. Yes, comrade, you already know what time it's hitting for. Okay, lovely to see you as always, and always happy and excited when you join the room. All right, now let's see who else we got up in here. Oh, hold up. My beautiful sister, Stephanie, is in the building. She says, beautiful sister to the Queen Cameron Fields. Yes, I love my sisters showing love to each other. Wonderful to see you, beautiful Queen Stephanie. Happy to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I definitely appreciate you. Now, as people, get acquainted and comfortable and, together this fine Sunday evening, I figured I'd just go on ahead and share. Hold on, let me charge my little stuff before I get going, because we don't need any power going out. We don't need any weird ass anything going on up in here. So let me make sure that I am together, plugged up, charged, and ready to go. Okay? We have some things to discuss, good family. We have quite a bit of things to discuss. Now, let's see how I want to begin this. Okay, let's see how I want to begin this. There's a lot to divulge, good people. All right, hold up. Before I get into that, I see some super chats that came in. I want to salute the people who are supporting the channel. Salute to Glenn Mickens, heavy, once again in the super chat. Thank you very much for your support. I definitely appreciate the support and the contribution to the channel very, very much. Salute to the King, Todd French in the building with the love and support. He says, salute to the queen. I appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much, King. Always wonderful to see you, the King Todd French. Thank you so much for blessing the channel. It's definitely much appreciated to all the brothers and sisters who contribute, to the runnings of. What did Daryl say? He says, damn, Sugar Free, how did you get a close up on the green? Oh my God. This is the, y'all gotta just excuse my twin Daryl. Okay. He is such a jokester. He makes me laugh literally every week, every time, every day, really, because we always talking to each other in the chats that we frequent, but he is such a mess. Daryl, yes, I got the extra, I panned in as close as I could to that hair grease, okay, to the Soul Glow, to the Dax, to the Murray's grease that he used, okay? I just wanted to make sure that there was no slippage so that nothing will get in his eye during this live, because I'm going to be getting to that ass. And I don't want to hear nobody calling no timeouts. I don't want to see nobody taking no knees from this ass whooping that I'm about to give. So I zoomed in as close as possible on the hair follicles and the hair grease, because I don't want to hear no excuse about that damn grease with this ass whooping this man is about to get. You understand me? Yes, it's one of those days, Daryl. Okay? It is one of those damn days. Salute to my sis, the beautiful corner girl, 66. She says, salute, lady, to Cameron. Okay. Yes, indeed, beautiful sis. Big love to you. And thank you for joining. Thank you for spreading the love to the chat. And of course, to my beautiful sister, Cameron. Yes, indeed. I love to see the love going around. You know what, you guys? I'm just really at a loss for words as far as Daryl still got me cracking up with that. I'm just, I'm so at a point in boxing as far as my dismay that I figured that I would, entirely focus on this particular subject so that I can, get it out and be done with it. You understand? Because I feel like all of this has been a result of a culminating over the past 2, 3, 4 years of activity or lack thereof from Purple Pain Davis. And I feel like the shenanigans of the past week, the dropping of the news and the report of, the fight that dropped, I'm really just ready to just go all in so that I can move the hell on, my focus and attention, onto areas of integrity and respect for the sport that actually, I want to be giving my attention to, that I find to be worthwhile. Okay. But I definitely wanted to put my foot in, up to the kneecap, in this particular situation and touch upon this, because I really feel like we need to be as coherent, as intelligible, and elaborative as possible on, the truth. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like all of the truth tellers, as my comrade would call us, have a particular view. And I think it's really going to take all of us and, an unabridged, uncensored level of reality that needs to be brought to the forefront by people who are unafraid, to call it like we see it. You understand? People who are not trying to, cassette, popular narratives just for the sake of views or just for the sake of getting a pat on the head or a high five from people in high places, or, just for the sake of, maybe I'll get a like by this or that particular fighter. All of that shit has to be, out the window. We just got to speak like some grown ass, mature people, people with an investment in the sport, people, and ultimately people with a respect for the sport. We just have to speak plainly, and you guys know that that's my thing. I don't want to sugarcoat a motherfucking thing. You understand? So, I don't know who, may find this, to be too brazen or whatever, but if you have a weak stomach Please exit the chat room, you guys. Okay? Exit now. This is your opportunity to go. If you have a frail, fragile mentality or a frail, fragile sense of a maturity about yourself, or if you you're weak in the stomach in any way you can't take it, this is your opportunity to then exit. All right? Because I want to be all the way up front and forthright about my thoughts and views on this. Because as I said, I intend to no longer give my attention to this gentleman in the sport of boxing. Okay, that's my aim. So long as this man continues to blatantly disrespect this sport the way that he has been, and most definitely presently and currently is displaying, he will never again have my support. Now, let's see how I want to begin here. Like I said, I figured that I would divulge a good bit of my thoughts on this particular subject so that I can dispel the energy within it as far as I'm concerned. Having been a long supporter of this man, as I have stated to you guys time and time again. Okay, you guys, many of you may know that I have been a staunch supporter of Tank Davis for nearly a decade. Okay, and it is only until very recently that I have rescinded my level of support for him. And it wasn't overnight. I guess you could say it was gradual, right? Because I always maintained a level of belief in him because I really enjoyed the potential that I saw within him. I really looked forward to seeing it cultivated properly and exemplified, as near to thoroughly as possible. And so it was a gradual rescinding of my support until, of course, at this point, I have completely retracted, my stance as far as that goes. But, the reality is that I am very exhausted of the perceptions that have been created around him, the makings. And I'm tired of the generating of the news around the recent antics and the recent news. I'm tired of the propelling of, let's say, this assumed importance that this fight has and holds. People trying to make it more valuable and meaningful than what it is. How the fuck you make an exhibition fight meaningful? I have no idea. You understand? But this is what is being assumed right now. There's an assumed importance. You know what I'm saying? As far as its place in context to the boxing world, it's just sickening. It's been absolutely sickening, beautiful people. Of course, we have been startled by, or probably more descriptive a term would be disappointed largely by the announcement of and the confirmation of the Jake Paul and Red Light Special Davis fight that is going to be happening in November. Okay, Red Light Special Davis, he done did it, y'all. He done made it official. Okay, it is official. November 14th, Jake Paul and Purple Pain himself, you know what I mean, are going to be going head to head. You know what I'm saying? In a fight, in this matchup. It's made, it's been concretized and confirmed, as we know, right? Over the past week. And, many of us real ones have been largely more than startled. I guess we would say, befuddled, disappointed, disillusioned by this materialization, of course, because we have heard the rumblings of the rumor of this fight for quite some time. But the real ones were, we have really been wondering if this man would be so foolish enough to really go through with it. I think this is really where a majority of us being, those of us who have been aghast by this news, I think it's because we really have been, for the long, period of time that we have been hearing the rumblings of these rumors under the surface that he would be fighting Jake Paul, or that he was propositioning something to happen with Jake Paul. I think us real ones have really been just like, nah. Like, we know that he's about the bag, and we know the level of duckery that we have been unfortunately, forced to witness on behalf of this man. But I think a lot of it was us trying to really, wrap our minds around if that man, with all of the talent that we have assumed that he has had all of these years that we have been following, him and watching him, we were really trying to, wonder about if he would be so, juvenile. You know what I'm saying? If he would be so cowardly enough to actually make a fight with that man, Jake Paul. And so, even though we had been carrying the rumors of it, on the subterranean level of our minds and of our consciousness, the fact that it was confirmed, our consciousness of the rumor did nothing to provide a sense of padding around the impact that we felt upon hearing them. It's like, what? So it's not like a sense that we were like, oh my God, this is unheard of. But the level of disappointment just absolutely rose to the surface for many of us real ones. Like, really, nigga? Like, yeah, I mean, you really went and did this. You really put your foot out and took a step towards this bullshit. Like, you motioned for this? This is what you motioned for? I mean, amid of you talking about retirement, amid you talking about who is worthy to stand next to you. You know what I'm saying? Amid you telling, motherfuckers that they got to talk to you nicely in order to get you a fight with you. Your real competition. They got to talk to you nice to even get to even get a phone call from you, let alone to set up some negotiations to fight you. They have to wrap you up with caressing, loving words. Okay, they got to draw your bath water at a certain temperature or else they're not getting close to a fight with you. They got to go above and beyond for greatness out of you. And in walks this, I don't know what you would call this man, Jake Paul, a content creator. And he gets the, I'm just like, exacerbated. What? This is what we have to sit down and deal with, beautiful people. Okay? It's out of this world. Out of this world. And I find that, I've been coming across a number of people who have just been absolutely, been dumbfounded by the reality of this fight. That it is set in stone in November, you guys. It's like, and naturally because of that level of us, to the degree that we have been aghast by this realization, it's garnered a lot of dialogue around it, and naturally so, and to one degree or another, you guys, I will say this, I guess that can be a good thing as far as, the need to have a dialogue centered around this, and I say that because unfortunately, you guys, this is vastly becoming a sport where critical thinking and dialogue amongst the fan base, is largely becoming to be viewed as somehow reprehensible, right? Us sitting around and talking, us substantiating, our thoughts and views, us presenting a level of dialogue and, bringing our facts to the table, making our assumptions, drawing our conclusions or whatever have you, that's viewed as reprehensible. Right? Bring a level of intelligibility to what is going on and making a critical analysis about that. That is being viewed more readily as reprehensible in the sport of boxing because there are people, abound who would rather us, shut up and take it. In other words, don't worry, we're going to get into that too. Right? There's a shut up and take it mentality all throughout boxing. Right? And so I think that for the sake of dialogue, it is important, that we place all of our weight and parlance, and discernment on what it is that we see. We have to do that as boxing fans, as thinking people, right? As adults, ain't nobody a child here. We should be unpacking these things and looking at its context and seeing in the ways where a much larger dialogue is being had between the lines, right? So, that in an effort to centralize and galvanize a need, at least within my own personal community here, I want to do just that. I want to entice, I want to incite, I want to exercise dialogue. I want us to stimulate critical analysis and critical thinking and, divulge, the ways that we perceive things about and within the sport that we are so passionately in support of and that we respect so deeply. Because we're going to do the critical thinking here on the real channels. That's what's encouraged. Okay. And so that's what I always want to open the floor for, especially as it pertains for our people and how it impacts people of our culture. All right. Now, Red Light Special Davis, you guys, is the most worthless fighter. The most worthless fighter of this era of boxing. I'll just start there. Like I said, you got a weak stomach, find your way out. Red Light Special Davis is the most worthless fighter that this era of boxing has produced. Period. He has single-handedly put the stature and valor of this sport at an absolute deficit of merit. Absolute deficit. I have never seen a fighter so parasitic, so self-indulged, and with an inconceivable level of inflated arrogance than Purple Pain motherfucking Davis. This man has for nearly a decade, you guys, bypassed every perceivable level of competition around him. Let that shit sink in while I sip my water. I need that to resonate within you. Nearly a decade, y'all. Bypassed everything that looked like, had a hint of a fragrance of competition. He ducked it. He bypassed it. He walked around, circumvented, and everything else you want to call it. No direct contact whatsoever with anything perceived of as smoke. Let's not sugarcoat what it is that we have been seeing of this young man. Let's deal with this head on. For nearly a decade, beautiful people. Okay? This clown has at all costs opted to position himself as far away from anything that gave off a hint of being a threat to him. Anything with any type of semblance of challenge attached to it, any ounce of an obstacle attached to it, he avoided. And he has been allowed to build a mirage, an illusory myth around and about himself that suggested that, I don't know, because he has been victorious in his fights for all these years against lackluster, tepid, and listless competition. And by having put his mild level of competition out in dramatic fashion via knockout, that somehow he should be seen as the greatest thing to have ever graced this era. All because he laid out some lackluster competition via knockouts. Back to back to back to back. Whole 98,000% KO ratio, y'all. He's the man. This nigga is knocking out a bunch of kindergartners. He's the man, though. Bunch of fifth graders got to get off the swings, but he's the man, right? That's the equivalent. Greatest thing to ever grace this era of boxing. This is the cloak that has been put around him. Right? Somehow, he is a man of courage and virility and bravery and, heroism. He's a hero, an upholder of, the whole sport of boxing. That's what he is and what he represents, this brave, heroic figure. Yet what the reality evinces, you guys, is that he has not been made to prove any shred of those qualities in real time. Not an ounce of them. Much of the boxing world has thrown this unearned accreditation into that man's lap. But he hasn't had to do a motherfucking thing to prove himself worthy of even an inch of that type of credence, y'all. What heroism? I ain't see it exemplified. Did he exemplify it against Rolly? How about Pitbull? Was that the dragon that he had to slay? The worthy opposition that he had to bring down? You tell me. This man has not had to stand toe-to-toe with any elite fighter whatsoever in order to be deemed valid as an accredited warrior, as an elite. That's regardless of what we may think about his skills or the affinity that we have for his skills or what we perceive to be, his attributes, formidable attributes. He has not proven them against the elite. But this is what he has assumed the posture of. And worse yet, is the fact that a legion of fickle, fragile people, a gullible public, has followed blindly behind this folly and made excuses for his lack of display of courage and warriorship. A gullible people who would rather be ensorcelled by an imaginary pretense and by a facade than to have concretized or solidified actuality of his potential. This is the imbecilic portion of the boxing world that gladly waves a fan over his and their own flame of delusion and dement. They do it with alacrity. They are willing to fan that flame of delusion for him and for themselves, to keep that myth, that fantasy afloat. He don't got to prove nothing. Just buy into this fantasy. Let's just, make up hypothetical suppositions. Let's just deem who he would beat in our minds and in our imaginations, and he never have to set out to actually accomplish and prove that he can defeat who such and such may be. Let's just surmise and guesstimate until the fucking cows come home, in other words. But let's not ever ensure that he proves his valor. It's sick and it's disgusting in boxing. We seem to have entered, beautiful people, into the shut the fuck up and swallow phase of boxing, to put it nicely. Shut the fuck up and swallow. That's the era of boxing I guess we have walked into. We find ourselves amid this particular era at this juncture, people. Okay? This is a precedent set in sports. An absolute precedent. Usually, the public corrals around the athletes to see them do what? Excel. This is what the public and the support system usually, is galvanized around, seeing their fighter or athlete or whatever have you excel, to see them reach new levels, to see how they will overcome equally hungry and formidable opponents. They want to see them reach passionately for their aims and goals of victory, no matter what that sport may be. This is what the fan base or the support system is galvanized around. All right? The support of the materialization of the goal or the legacy of that particular sport. And it is that display of tenacity from the athlete to prove that they can create their own valor via their sportsmanship that garners and engenders an unyielding and an unflinching sense of loyalty from the fans and supporters. It's the steadfastness of the athlete that translates, from sport to sport to sport to sport. Doesn't matter the sport. The same premise persists. Okay? Such a thing is not anomalous in boxing, you guys. It's the same principle here. People show up and have showed up for countless years, okay, in support of and in display of the same level of participation and interest to support the athlete, or in our case, the fighter, see them, get their victory, to see them reach their championship, to see them display their warriorship. But what is contradictory here in this era, you guys, is that, as a supporter in this current era, at least, apparently you're just all out liable to be absolutely disrespected and degraded for having an inkling of a thought that you can demand and advocate for the respect of warriorship from your athlete, the goal of you to demand showmanship, athleticism, grit, warriorship, heart, and courage from your fighter. How dare you? That's the era that we are in. How dare you ask your fighter to have a respect for competition as a fighter? That's the era we in. It's open field, y'all. Y'all are getting too cute out here, apparently, asking your favorite fighter to compete. It's a new goddamn day. And there are no bones being made about it. Competition and legacy has place no more in this good sport, beautiful people. No space whatsoever to exist. We don't want to hear competition. We don't want to hear legacy. That's the new day we in, apparently. Oh no, don't go talking about that legacy stuff again. See, we had it twisted all along, good people. I'm just finding this shit out. Did anybody else get the email? Because I fucking missed it. You know what I mean? I ain't get that text message. I'm fucking late to the party. Legacy don't mean shit. The real importance is the money. The importance of money over that of legacy, over that of the connection to the people who uphold their fighters, is where it's at. The money. That's the value. Even to the people who are not spending the checks, even to the fans. It don't matter if we're not spending a dime of that money. It don't matter that we are spending money and giving money to support the ventures of these fighters, to support the aspirations of these fighters, to support the lavish lifestyle of these fighters. We're not spending a dime of it, but we have to become obsessive about their bank accounts as if we are spending it with them. No, don't focus on warriorship and legacy and impact and Black excellence on display. How about you sit down and be ensorcelled by the gold and diamonds in my mouth, by the car that I'm driving, by the new purse, etc., etc. That's what we have to glorify. That's what we have to show up to support. How many more bags a fighter can squeeze into their goddamn closets? Don't you focus on legacy. Oh, you're just wasting time. Don't worry about the belts. Just worry about the Gucci goddamn belts. We have, according to these people and this logic, we've been disoriented and perplexed this whole time, good family. We ain't had it together. We've been looking at this thing completely upside down, y'all. You feel me? We had it all wrong. It seems that if there is a transition in place, you guys, and it's a move that is readily being justified by people who call themselves, quote unquote, fans of boxing. This transition, beautiful people, is such that, all the aspects that us boxing lovers have heralded and respected and saw exemplified by the beautiful brothers, the great warriors of past eras. It is such that we are now being, asked to supplant concepts of legacy with an overemphasis on an obsession with the quote unquote bag that fighters make in their careers. We have to now supplant the foundations of boxing for, a twisted, toxic obsession with their material gains. It's nothing to do at all with fluffy words like legacy and greatness and courageousness and warriorship. Oh no, we solely need to have our attention on and dedication toward the bank accounts of these men. Well, I'll be goddamn damned. Who knew? I thought I was here for a wonderful display of heart and warriorship and tenacity. I had it fucking twisted, huh? Right? And because a fighter is out here getting a quote unquote bag, that means that they even have free reign to curse us the fuck out at any given moment. Should we dare to be bold enough for a second as to ask that they be warriors? How dare us? Shame on us, y'all, for even having a thought about them being warriors and even demanding that they displayed that warriorship. How dare we? You understand where I'm going? It's the most bizarre and outlandish and curious behavior that I have ever seen in my sports life. I have never seen anything like this, y'all. Never seen anything quite like this. This is crazy. And I posit that the disrespect that is now allowed to be shown by a fighter is tantamount to the fans' preoccupation with the inflated sense of financial worth, that they have placed on a particular fighter. And in this case, that is Gervonta Purple Pain motherfucking Davis. So that because a fighter is considered wealthy now, or rather that he has access to, I guess, making substantial amounts of material wealth, he is then, able to firstly, get away with the disrespect of the sport as a whole by not having to compete among his contemporaries or the best around him. And secondly, because he has access to this material wealth or stands to make that material wealth in his ventures, he is also capable of receiving enough lenience from his fans that he can now go on and outright berate, upbraid, and reproach his very own supporters, y'all. This is what the fuck money gets you. You get to curse out your own fans. Ain't that some shit? Because you are making business dealings of whatever, modality. You can now cuss out the own people that support you. And they'd be okay with that. Simply because you're getting the what? The quote unquote bag. You just can't make this stuff up, good people. You can't make this stuff up. What I want to ask you guys is, and what I am essentially asking the larger boxing world is, what is the bag worth? That's what needs to be reckoned with right now at this particular time in boxing. Because there's a whole lot of things that are being passed off as acceptable in the name of this mythical bag, this preoccupation with a bag. What is that bag worth? Is it worth the luster and integrity of the sport going completely awry and asunder? Is it worth that? Is that what the boxing world is cossetting right now? Allowing entrance into right now? What is it worth? What is this mythological bag really worth? Is what I am asking. Is it worth the dematerialization of the very thing that we are here for? Which is to support our brothers in their warriorship, in their courage, in their hard work and dedication. You bitches love saying nice goddamn catchphrases like that. None of you fucking live by it. That's why you're willing to sell your pussy at the drop of a dime. Because you don't know what valor is. You don't know what heart is. That's why you sacrifice it for anything that sparkles and glitters. Doesn't matter the cost. Doesn't matter the sacrifice. You will give that shit up as fast as you motherfucking can. That's why you got so many sassy ass motherfuckers co-signing the bullshit right now. What is this mythical bag really worth? Is it worth supplanting valor, esteem, legacy, the forging of one's own path towards becoming self-made men and women? Is it worth that? Being sacrificed? Is it worth the sacrifice of the championship spirit that have been exemplified by countless beautiful kings and queens in this sport? People whose lips, you wrap your lips around with all the haste in the world to say the names like Muhammad Ali and Hagler and Hearns and Ray Leonard and Ray Robinson and Coco Kid and Duran and all the list of, crazy warriors that we love and respect. Y'all love saying their names, but none of you have that heart. Y'all don't know that heart. You want to say their names, but you don't know what those men did to earn that valor. Because nowadays, you don't want your fucking fighters earning shit. You want it thrown in their laps. Most of you motherfuckers don't deserve to say those great legends' names. Is this mythical bag worth the sacrifice of that championship spirit, y'all? Is it worth the sacrificing of that warrior expression? That level of expression that you can only get when you are creating yourself in the fire? Not on the sidelines with your fucking pinky nails up, getting painted. I'm talking about in the center of battle, where real people get made. That's what y'all willing to sacrifice. That's what the bag is worth, sacrificing to you sassy ass motherfuckers. A lot of folks seem to have it confused out here. Red Light Special Davis has really been allowed to run amok in the sport of boxing, y'all. Real talk. The preoccupation that we see now, that we see currently, is but a culmination of a path that he set out on once he really became a pay-per-view attraction, in my view. Okay? Since his pay-per-view rise, this man has been praised for his quote-unquote sellout power. Right? A mystique was tied to this man. He has been made a fabrication, and a mythical image has been bestowed upon him by the boxing media, and he relished in and perpetuated the narratives of his alleged invincibility and the mystique of his ability to sell, right? But as time progressed and people were becoming more and more, doting over this man's star power as he continued to rise and capture more and more fans who watched and tuned in, all the while he was swindling the very public by diverting attention away. Not only him, but his team and his sympathists, right? Swindling the public by diverting attention away from the reality that he wasn't fighting anyone worth an ounce of the adoration he was receiving. All he had to do was give a tantalizing knockout here, a tantalizing knockout there, and his salivating supporters would fall to their knees in exaltation for him. And this happened year after year after year after year. And we can look at that clearly in retrospect, right? It was easy to be attracted to that man's style. It really was, right? It was evident that he had talent that was worth watching. He had a lot of enjoyable things about his style, okay? But what happens to that talent when at almost 31 years old, it has yet to be sharpened amongst other men of steel, yet to be sharpened amongst an equivalence level that would sharpen and test his formidability. Yet to be sharpened. You cannot sharpen steel on sand. Steel sharpens steel. Iron sharpens iron. And that's where we are now, good people. Nearly a decade later, the man, the myth, and the legend, Red Light Special Davis, instead of fighting fiercely for his supremacy against his contemporaries in the lightweight division, he is instead facing a content creator turned boxing promoter / exhibitionist. What the hell? This is where we at. This is where this man is at nearly 31 years old. Nearly a decade of his mediocrity, as far as the level of competition, has brought him here to this place, to this very point that we are at right now. It is this that has given him a sense of entitlement that only, somebody who writes short stories could think up, yo. Because the level of entitlement that this man has is out of this world. You can't make it up. You got to be a hell of a creative person to think this stuff up, right? If you wanted to write a story about it. Entitlement is a whole nother level. And at every stage of this man's mediocrity, his fanboys aided and abetted in the bullshit. Now, many of us who began, rocking with Purple Pain Davis, we generally believed in, initially. We generally, and genuinely believed that he had something to prove. Like I said, many of us attracted to his style, right? We believed that he had a place to claim, a stake of significance to claim in this, new era of boxing with the young fighters, right? He was the protege. Okay, it goes without saying, of, arguably one of the greatest men to ever put on a pair of boxing gloves. A man who fought with enough valor to feed the needy and made enough money to do just that. And of course, I'm talking about Floyd Money May. He was his protege. And he had the full backing of Money May, right? And so we all believed that, he'd be a man of equal valor and respect in this competitive sport, considering all the wonderful things, all the wonderful fights that Floyd gave us. We thought that he would prop up a fighter who would walk in a line of competitorship, of warriorship as he did, right? Many people like me were gracious and patient and yielding to the development of Tank Davis as we watched him grow, right? We wanted to make sure that he had all the room that he needed to grow as best as he needed it. But as of recent years, you guys, in watching this man take trivial fight after trivial fight after trivial fight, naturally, questions began to arise, at least among the cognizant boxing supporters, right? And we began inquiring. We began peering into the motives and into the choices of this man, right? And we assumed, a lot of us, that, a lot of people felt at the time maybe it was Floyd that was holding him back. Floyd likes the limelight. Floyd is his representative. He is, his promoter. He is the one veering the ship. And so he has maybe, stunted the growth of Gervonta Tank Davis, right? And all the shenanigans that we watch unfold. We watch the back and forth drama, supposedly between them, the beef that they had, then they make up, then they break up. It's like watching a goddamn toxic ass couple make up and break up left and right every 5 goddamn minutes, right? Until finally, GTD Promotions is born, right? And so he steps supposedly out of the shadow of TMT Promotions, right? And he ventures towards his own promotional company with the GTD Promotions. Okay, however long it's been now, I want to say two or 3 years, right? Something like that, since he has stepped out officially out of the shadow and has ventured to, I guess, allegedly be his own man. But even with that in place, no longer being under the wings or under the shadow of Floyd Mayweather and TMT, for some reason, we have still not seen a height or a spike, in his acceleration towards his competition level, a raise in his competition level. Why is that? Because a lot of people really assumed that it was Floyd that may have been holding him back. Though he stood to gain a lot in working with Floyd, he got all of his credibility and notability from his association with Floyd, from Floyd's direct backing, and cultivating of Purple Pain Davis, right? A lot of people, at the same time felt that Floyd, like I said, was stunting his growth. Gervonta Dick Davis was a very reticent personality. He did not speak. A lot of people had complaints, oh, Floyd do all the talking, let that man talk for himself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, y'all remember, right? Had a lot of thoughts about that. People all over had thoughts about that, right? Oh, he's not getting the fights because Floyd don't want him to fight. He would fight. Floyd is setting up these fights for him, right? This is why he's not perhaps going to fight such and such and such and such. So what was the excuse when he parted ways with Floyd Mayweather, good people? What's the excuse? How has he been, something like 3 years on his own now and not ventured even a little bit, even an inch to make the biggest fights and to create, matchups among his biggest rivals? He's his own man, is he not? Who the fuck is holding him back now? You understand? These are things that we have been taking into consideration, us cognizant supporters. We have been looking at these things and dissecting and analyzing the details. Okay? More people began applying steadier pressure on the matter of wanting to see him fight the best around him. Okay? And year after year, requests became heavier and more persistent. Even from the time when he was still, at the tail end of his dealings with Mayweather, right? Became more and more persistent. These questions, when are you going to fight such and such? The excitement and the anticipation was around that. Okay? At least from the conscious boxing community. Somewhere along the lines, it seems like as he stood on his own, I guess, alleged 2 feet, because I don't even know if that's the case, that he is, on his own 2 feet and heading any type of promotional company, as far as I'm concerned. I have no idea the way things have been looking. But anyway, somewhere along the lines, our demands and those posits, of inquiry into his level of competition being stepped up. Along the lines, unfortunately, instead of this, mentally being upheld by the boxing world, let's say the extended boxing world, these little demands and questions into, when is he's going to show up and show and prove against the likes of Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney, who are the biggest names tied to his own. The more those questions became more weighted and consistent, a particular sect of the boxing community who have no vested interest in the sport's longevity suddenly began curtailing all types of tales that suggested that the intention behind people inquiring into Tank Davis's level of competition was somehow a showing or a display on the part of these fans and supporters, was a display of ill will against him. Somehow we have an ill will, this particular group of cognizant boxing fans who are saying, hey, I'm in support of you, but when you gonna step it up, bruh? I don't want to see another goddamn Rodriguez nobody ever heard of. I don't want to see a goddamn Hernandez nobody ever heard of. I don't want to see a motherfucking Poole or Johnson nobody ever goddamn heard of. When are you going to get Devin Haney on that resume? When are you going to get Lomachenko on that resume? When is Shakur Stevenson going to get on that resume? Seems like the more people started prying into this and opening that door, the more people began to be labeled haters. Because like I said, how dare you demand warriorship from your fighter? How about you shut up and take it? Or better yet, shut the fuck up and be a fan. As he recently told his own supporter, one of his own supporters. So that this mentality has been a slow burn. It has been there all the while. Okay? All the goddamn while, y'all. So that you are a hater, you are showing ill will against Tank because you are demanding what you demand of every other fighter that you would consider to be a great or a potential for a display of greatness. What's crazy to me, beautiful people, is that, you know, these people, these simping ass cowards in the boxing world, it's not that they don't understand the concept of accountability. Oh no, you know, they know exactly what that is. They know very well what accountability is and what it means to want to see a display of warriorship and valor. They know good and goddamn well what that is. Okay? Because when it comes to placing all sorts of demands on elite Black men who actually operate completely within their warriorship, those same suckers are among the first people in line to demand things like, oh, you better not think twice about taking a sip of water now you're here. Don't you rest and sip no goddamn water. You bet not look like you want to take a light touch in your next fight. This is them, the same people who are taking it easy and showing an exorbitant amount of leniency towards Tank Davis are the same people that say, oh, you better not fight an opponent who is not the pound for pound #1 in the world. How dare you? You're fighting not the pound for pound #1. You're fighting the #3. How dare you? I don't give a damn if he was a former champion, a multi-division champion, a multi-belt holding champion. Oh no, you better go directly to the belly of the beast at all times. This is that same people's mentality when it comes to other fighters, right? You better go directly to the belly of the beast. You better slay every dragon, or else you ain't shit as a fighter. There will be no walking on your path to greatness. You better haul ass in spectacular fashion. This is these people. How interesting is it that that same level of vehemence hasn't been placed an inch when it comes to Red Light Special Davis, y'all? How convenient, right? This man has been able to sit on his laurels. Absolutely comfortable. Sipping rose tea. Okay? Able to sit down and pick from a basket of cherries who he wants to fight. Meanwhile, everybody else, every other Black elite fighter has to unflinchingly toil on the path to greatness in front of these people, or else they are subject and liable to be lambasted like nobody's business in the public and across social media. Every other elite Black man has to carve himself in the flame, except for Purple Pain Davis. Is that how this goes? What the fuck is the boxing world worth if this type of thing is a predominant aspect in the sport? That's what I'm asking y'all. What is boxing worth if this is allowed to take place? If this is given center stage in the perceptions of the boxing public? What the fuck is it worth? The boxing that I know, good people, the boxing that has been paved by great warriors, by beautiful Black kings and other kings that I respect in this sport. Those men set out to prove their valor. That's what they did. That's why we have a sport to talk about, because of those great warriors, because of their contributions and accomplishments, because of their unflinching warriorship, because of their uprightness. That's why we have a boxing to speak of. I don't know what the fuck these kids of tomorrow are going to have to speak of, the way these pussies out here carrying on. Those men set out to prove their valor, the great warriors of the previous eras. No matter what that challenge was, no matter what business politics, boxing politics may have gotten in the way, no matter if there may have been a fight or two that slipped between their fingers and everything else, it did not pose an impasse to their warriorship, to the effect that they stayed away from their competition. It was an imperative to those men that they did what was necessary in order to make as many of the best fights around them possible. Despite the politics and the business of boxing, fights got made. And trust me, there was a whole lot of corruption going on in more ways than you would ever be, able to realize back then. And boxing fights still got made. The most legendary of them got made amid that type of climate and corruption in the sport. It did not hinder it. Even if they could not behead all of their rivals, the need and the desire was attempted by those great men. It was attempted to whatever capacity was available to embark upon that. Somebody's head was motherfucking getting taken. That was just the mentality. I can't get him, let me get the next one. I can't get that one, pass me the other one. Somebody's head is getting taken tonight. You call yourself the best, I'm going to behead you. Period. Put him in a ring. Very few walking around with that spirit today. Every fight that we hold, beautiful people, every fight that we hold to the light and give credence to of the past, from those great kings of the past eras, has been because those warriors of that day dared to prove themselves with an equal. It took an equal, a worthy competitor of near or equal value to their own to showcase that level of greatness with. They didn't show it next to a fucking pussycat. They didn't show valor and get the credence by painting their goddamn nails. They got it in due battle. They stood in the center of the fire and they took their respect. Whether they walked out victorious or not, valor was earned. These cowards have no concept of that today. The way they give and bestow valor is by protecting these men from fighting, by shielding them from the battlefield. That's how they give credence to fighters these days. The shit is crazy. Absolutely backwards era that we are in. From a lot of these fan boys and perpetuators of that feeble, fragile mentality. The men of the past dared to prove themselves with their equals. That's how they got the valor. That's how you know their names today. Someone else of formidable stature stood next to them and dared to fight them, just like they dared to fight the other. We don't sit back and look at goddamn Hearn Duran as, some type of pastime type of fight. No one would dare say that Holyfield versus Tyson was some type of, sip your lemonade type of battle. Those men were in there goddamn thugging it out. Whether I got motherfucking bite your ear off or what. You know what I mean? Things was serious. Nobody would ever say that Roy Jones versus Tarver was, some type of cool walk in the park picking goddamn daisies. You must be out your goddamn mind. Nobody would ever say Mayweather versus Zab Judah, was just some ordinary type of sipping of chamomile tea on the goddamn porch. Are you crazy? Those beautiful brothers were serious. None of them niggas was playing with you. They meant serious business. In defeat and in victory, they meant serious business. Nobody was playing with you. This is why they are the foundation of this sport. And this is why they exemplify what greatness in boxing looks like. You have the prototype when you look at those men. You sipping sassy ass man fans have no concept of valor or what it means to forge yourself with anything of purpose. You fucking sit down and you cheerlead for mediocrity. You rationalize deficiency. You rationalize frailty and a lack of courage. That's what you motherfuckers exalt. Because that's what y'all illustrate and epitomize in your own goddamn lives. Those people of that mentality, beautiful people. That's what they demonstrate and epitomize in their own lives. And so they project it onto these fighters. Damn cowards think that by holding these people back from reaching and expressing their potentiality, that they are encouraging the immortality of these fighters. Ain't that some shit? They think that they are encouraging their immortality, when in fact, these people just want to see them unchallenged. That's all it comes down to. They don't want to see those men challenged. Because in their own lives, they can't take the heat or the pressure like men. So they don't want to see other men that they admire and dote over. They don't want to see them have to be put in situations of pressure because they themselves as men are lowly and cowardly who can't take or stand 5 minutes of pressure. That's why they don't want to see these fighters be pressured, because they would break if they had 5 minutes in the flame. They're projecting their cowardice onto these men. And sadly, a lot of these suckers are following suit. Crazy work. Let me take a quick pause before I keep cooking, because I know I've been going for a little minute. I want to salute my family. This stuff is disgusting to me, y'all. Absolutely disgusting. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's going on with what you have been seeing so far and how you guys perceive of it for yourselves amid the recent news that came out this week. Salute to Jose Diaz. I see you in the building. Salute to the Flying Guillotine. Salute to you. All right. See who else we got in the building. I went up a little bit, you guys, just to see. The King Patrice in the building. Salute to the King Patrice. Always wonderful to see you, King. I got a super chat from my beautiful sister Stephanie as I calm down. You know what I mean? Because I'll be on flames. I'm trying to come down a little bit. My beautiful sister Stephanie, thank you so much, Queen, for supporting the channel. You already know it's 10 Toes, beautiful goddess. She says, adding color to the chat, Queen SugarFreeMars, with her hearts. Thank you so much, beautiful sis. I appreciate you. Salute to the King Shelton, my good brother in the building. Lovely, as always, to see you. My twin, he says, you know it's bad when your foot goes up somebody else to the kneecap. That has to be surgically removed, okay? Yes, all the way up to the damn kneecap, twin. That's how I'm stepping today. I have no mercy whatsoever, twin, okay? Yes, beautiful people, I always forget. So thank you to my family who remind the chat. Please press the like button and share. Thank you so much to my comrade. I always forget you guys. You know how I get when I get going. Okay. Thank you so much, comrade. Salute to Caldwell. He says, Sugar Free Mars. I'm just here to listen. Okay, King. I ain't mad at it at all. I appreciate your presence in the building and the energy. Oh my goodness. Hold up. The King, Stephen X in the building. He says, peace and salute, Queen. You already know, King. Lovely to see you. I'm happy to see you. Thank you for joining. Yes, King. It's just, sending a lot of messages into the boxing world, about what the mentality is or what it stands to be going forward if this is not dealt with. Okay? Because the fans have a responsibility, to really straighten this out, and we do that by the level of support or non-support that we give to these particular types of displays of folly within the sport. Okay, one of the things that I have come across is, amid the people trying to rationalize this worthlessness of, that's going on with this fight is, oh, well, I'm going to watch anyway. Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to I'm going to watch the fight though. It's like, grown people go do what they want, right? But I even hear that type of sentiment expressed by people who have, boasted and complained about how worthless and purposeless this fight is. But you are going to give your eye attention to this fight? How is that going to change anything? It's a larger question that I think I'll tap into a little bit later. But yes, King, the cowardice is on full display. My beautiful sis says, his card last. Oh, you're talking to Daryl. My bad. My bad, beautiful sis. Salute to all the good people who I may have missed. Oh my goodness, the King here for boxing is in the building. He says the sad part is that he is so fucking talented and gifted. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I said earlier, it was hard not to, be a fan of his. He was one of the premier people, and the reason why I'm so fiery the way I am as it pertains to him is because he was one of the young fighters who pulled me back into boxing, who had my eyes engaged again in a new way within this sport. He was among the young fighters who had me, engulfed in boxing again, very, very deeply. It was Tank Davis. And so to see the level of just, juvenility is just, disheartening on every level, on every conceivable level. Very disappointing. His moves as of late. I went all the way up, you guys. So let me go back down and see what you guys are saying. Salute to the King Freedom. I see you, King, if you're still in the building. Nice to see you. We have somebody named, Jay. Salute to you. Hey, SugarFreeMars. It's what? Oh, MJ. Hey, MJ. What's up? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Yes, King. Yes, King. My twin says basically low risk, high reward career, a career for cowards. You guys know where I'm coming from. You guys feel me on where I'm coming from. Salute to my big bro, the truth in the building. First of all, thank you so much, big bro, for swinging through. I'm always honored to have you in the building. Okay, a legend of the game. Salute to my big bro, the truth. He says, cook. I'm on the job, King. You already know what we're hitting for. All right, on the job. We got to call it like it is, King. You already know what time it is. All right, no half stepping. Salute to the great Mike in the building. I see you, great Mike. Nice to see you, King. Thank you for joining. Let me get back to this cook really quickly, you guys, because this needs to be stated. Looking back and dealing with all of this, you guys, mean, I would be remiss to not say that I am absolutely repulsed. I think that goes without saying, right? Absolutely repulsed by the remedial justifications for this whole notion of this, bag, this whole idea of the bag that all of a sudden is only applicable to Tank Davis, right? That fighters are not out here, prize fighting to make their money, but that somehow the bag, because they're so special with Red Light Special Davis, that the bag that he gets means that he is able to circumvent all levels of competition as a whole, because he has a special bag that he needs to get. So that bag protects him and shields him from having to fight notable competition. I mean, the mindset is crazy, y'all. This mythical goddamn bag, the justifications for this concept of the quote unquote bag. Oh, he's got to go out there and make his bag now, you hear? He can do whatever he wants. Absolutely. He can get out there and do whatever he wants. Why aren't you happy for him? You'd be amazed at the things that we have been hearing over the past week, beautiful family. I know y'all heard it too. Why aren't you happy for him? Why aren't you just, celebrating his bag? He's out here getting a bag. Ain't he getting a bag though? You heard it. I know you heard everything that I heard over the past week. My thing is, when has this man fought for free in his professional career? When has Tank Davis ever fought for free? Why is the glorification of this bag all of a sudden, some type of new phenomena, I guess, as it pertains to this man? When has he ever fucking fought for free? Huh? When has he ever fought without compensation, especially as he became a pay-per-view star? What the fuck? It's crazy. Isn't he the pay-per-view star? If he's the face of boxing, hasn't he been getting a goddamn bag, supposedly? Who the hell is stopping him from getting a goddamn bag? And who has ever dared to throughout his career? This man been getting paid for boxing since he's been professionally goddamn fighting. What is this now obsession with him getting a bag? Oh, well, he's just getting a bag, so that means, you got to be happy for him. What? Ain't nobody trying to get in the way of this man getting a goddamn bag. This is what he does for a profession. He gonna get a bag whether I want him to goddamn to or not. This is what he does. This has nothing to do with him getting no goddamn bag. What the fuck do I have to celebrate for? He's getting a goddamn bag regardless. These people are crazy. Isn't that alleged bag the very thing that made him, be the self-entitled, self-proclaimed face of boxing? And moreover, what does him making money have to do with his fighting worthy, notable competitions? Worthy, notable opponents. His bag should not be predicated, upon him bypassing notable competition. How the fuck are you talking to me about a bag? Like that means that he should be staying away from his rivals. You guys didn't give a fuck about a goddamn bag when it came time for him to face all the people that he stepped in front of. Nobody was talking about no bag when it came to Rolly, but all of a sudden there's this bag, and there's this obsession with the bag. Now that y'all trying to cope with the fact that he's fighting a goddamn content creator. Real talk, what would stand to make, what would have, been the difference? Let's say, what would have stood to make him the biggest bags of his career other than fighting formidable men in battle? Up until this point, he could have been made the biggest bags in his career by fighting the people we wanted to see him fucking fight. What are these clown ass people talking about? Why the hell is it that they are constantly separating his ability and opportunity to make millions of dollars from the reality that he could have done both and? He could have fought his most notable adversaries and made a bag like fucking 5 years ago. If you want to keep it a goddamn buck. He could have done both, and he could have gotten his bag and solidified notable fights. He could have got a bag and built up his resume to be the best within his division. He could have got the bag and solidified his crown as king of the lightweight division. He fucking refrained from doing that so that he could take soft touches and keep his nails from breaking, I guess. People want to separate the bag from the valor. One doesn't have to be sacrificed in order to attain the next. Both and is possible when you are a real fighter, when you are a generational talent. I don't get the logic behind that shit I've been coming across, you guys. He could have fought his adversaries and made gargantuan amounts of money. What the fuck is wrong with these cowards? The reality is that you bitches don't want to see him defeated in battle. That's why. That's why you make the justifications for him fighting Jake Paul, and that's why you make the excuses as to why he has not faced Devin Haney or Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko or Tio or whoever the hell else. But particularly Shakur and Devin, because you do not want to see him defeated in battle. That is what you fear the most for that man. You pussies want to hold him up like he's some type of porcelain doll. You want to hold him up and place him behind a glass like a porcelain goddamn doll. That's what y'all want to do. You want him protected from being tested on the battlefield. That's what y'all want. These people out here are crazy, y'all. That's all it's an effort to do, to protect and shield that man from having to prove himself in competition with the elite around him. But you have the goal to demand, like I said, from other elite black fighters of nobility. You have the goal to demand for them to walk through all types of hellfire to prove themselves. Devin Haney got to go out there and slay every dragon imaginable just to get an ounce of a fraction of your respect. And not even that. Goddamn cowards. Go fight Boots. That man didn't even barely get to 140 yet. Why don't you go fight Boots? Why don't you go fight this person? Oh, Devin Haney weighed 100 and goddamn, million pounds. He rehydrated to 180,000 goddamn pounds. Why don't you go fight David Benavidez? Y'all remember all the nonsensical things that were being said? Meanwhile, you mentioned Shakur Stevenson's name and Tank Davis facing him, and people are saying, echoing and parroting, oh, well, what has he done? Parroting their master with that nonsense. What does Shakur do? Oh, he's going to beat him anyway. Then the hypothesis starts. The hypothetical assimilations begin. Oh, well, he would beat this person. He beat that person. But every time you motion for them to fight or you ask, well, why hasn't he sent the goddamn contract to fight them? Oh, well, he's going to beat them anyway. So because they imagine it, that's the reality. They can simulate the reality via their imagination. It's insidious work, y'all. He don't got to fight him at all. Oh, no, he would beat him. All the hypothetical dreams, hypothetical scenarios that you can imagine come up to the forefront. Oh, no, he would beat him. He would beat him, so he ain't got to fight him. Anything to keep that man, Red Light Special Davis, away from competition. That is what these fans do because they are following suit behind their master. You call yourselves thinking that Tank Davis is the best on one hand, right? They call themselves gascinating and bragging about this, mythological level of superiority and invincibility when it comes to Purple Pain Davis. But at the same time, they treat him like glass. Like he will break at the slightest challenge that presented itself to him. What they are really doing is showcasing his fragility in addition to their own. He passed on his biggest bag with Devin Haney up into that point. He deliberately bypassed making a bag against Shakur Stevenson by saying, well, what have you done for me lately on his Janet Jackson shit, right? What have you done? What has Keyshawn done? What has anybody goddamn done? Motherfucker out here wanting niggas to pour wine slowly before you hand him a glass. These are the type of stipulations this man Tank Davis seems to have, y'all. Nigga wants you to talk to him softly. You got to purr your way with your words if you want to get next to him. If you want to fight him, you have to, throw the rose petal gently in a pattern so that he can step close to you and possibly think about fighting you. All these goddamn demands, all these unfathomable stipulations, absolutely unfathomable. The things that you have to go through and the lengths that you have to go through to get a call from this man, to get a nod or wink from this man for a fight, right? The unthinkable. You got to pour his goddamn bath water at the right temperature now. Can't be too, if it's a degree over or under, no, I can't do this fight. You're not worth my time. Diva. Absolute diva. And this is allowed to happen. Crazy work. And I'm wondering what Jake Paul had to do, because that fight is solidified. Or is it that he just has a preference for white men? I don't know. Because the brothers didn't, they sure didn't get it easy with that man. But Jake definitely got his way. He found a way to make it happen there. Okay? What's going on, sir? How did Jake talk to you nicely? Did he have the right amount of goddamn roses thrown on the bed? What's going on here? Did he talk to you nice? What's happening? He definitely didn't have to go through no goddamn hoops. That's for sure. Let's not forget, you guys, this motherfucker Tank Davis got all of his panties in a bunch when a journalist asked him just last year if he ever intended on fighting the likes of somebody like Shakur Stevenson before he retires, because this man was postulating that, oh, I'm out of boxing. I'm done with boxing. The sport is killing me. I want a soft girl life. I have children. I want to go ahead and go live my life. I want the hardness out of my body. This is his words, right? And if that's the case, that he feels boxing is killing him, like I said, time and time again, go ahead and do what is going to, have you, healthy and complete as a person, right? If that is the case. But when he was asked by a reporter if he ever intends on fighting Shakur Stevenson, for example, as was brought up in that particular interview, this man screwed his face up something crazy, all types of attitude, and says, what has he accomplished? Who has he fought? He is talking to Shakur Stevenson now, okay? Not a Joe Schmo on the corner. That's who he is talking about. A 3-division champion in the Young King Shakur Stevenson. A fellow champion, the biggest name aside from his own at 135. That is who he is turning his nose up at and asking, well, what has he done? Who has he fought? That was that man's excuse and his reasoning to avoid Shakur Stevenson. Meanwhile, Jake Paul fought a 90,000-year-old Mike Tyson, a motherfucker who got deported back to Mexico, and a basketball player who never boxed a day in his goddamn life. That's who is on Jake Paul's resume, you guys. What? Make it make sense to me, because it's not computing. The logic ain't logicking over here, y'all. All right? This is who he calls a worthy competitor. But he had the gall to ask what Shakur Stevenson had did for him lately. What? What is going on? What is going on? And too large of a percentage of the boxing community is acting blind to this. They are pardoning this, which means that they are aiding and abetting in this folly. And you simping bitches ain't saying shit. It's crazy work for us real ones in the building who are looking back at this like, what? You got to be goddamn kidding me out here. This is exactly why this man can flat out tell his own supporters to their faces publicly to shut the fuck up and be a fan. That is a quote. That is exactly and verbatim what he told a supporter of his on his social media account who inquired, who had the goal, according to him, to inquire about, when or if it were possible that he would rematch Lamont Roach. This poor, simp said, "I love you, Tank." Get this. This is what's going on right now with these things. "I love you, Tank." You know what I'm saying? But, would have loved to see you get that rematch back with Roach. This man tried to cassette the environment. He tried to preface, his expectation of at least seeing a Lamont Roach rematch. He tried to add a little bit of love and sprinkle some sugar on there for Tank Davis. And he still got cursed the fuck out. I mean, it's just absolutely wild work, you guys. No amount of sugar was going to save this man from getting the curse out of the century. Shut the fuck up and be a fan. In other words, get on your knees, shut up, and swallow. Because I said so. That's what Tank Davis told his supporter. His supporter. Not a random reporter, not some, offshoot of a, figment of a person. His supporter. Shut the fuck up and be a fan. Can you believe this, you guys? Astounding. Absolutely astounding. This is exactly what y'all get, though, to that sect of people. This is what they get, y'all. I have no sympathy whatever right now in considering what he told you guys. On your knees, shut up and swallow. It's exactly what he said. That's exactly the sentiments that were, all around that statement that he said. And you know what? This is exactly how I'm going to start to address every single one of those damn fanboys too. I'm going to start to say, you know why? Because y'all like being spoken to that way, apparently. Rough ain't rough enough for y'all. It's a little bit of masochistic, sadism that y'all enjoy. Something about this abuse is appealing to you guys because you guys are flocking to this man even now after seeing him publicly lambaste his own supporter. I've seen an unlimited amount of simps placating to this abuse, you guys, justifying it. I know y'all seen it too. Oh, he's just really ready to fight. Oh, no, he didn't mean that. He's just out here ready to get the bag. He's just focused on the bag. You know what I'm saying? So, he's really out there trying to focus on getting that bag, you guys. Oh, don't pay him any mind. He doesn't mean it like that. Well, he didn't say it to me Because if he actually would have said that to me in the comment section, that would have been a whole different story, right? You heard all the coping that's been going on. And I'm sitting back looking at all of these goddamn, perspectives going around from these simps and saying, y'all are the softest cowards to ever call themselves supporters of boxing. I don't know what y'all are. You damn dimwits are so ensorcelled and enchanted and infatuated by this chump, abusing you outright and publicly, that these people have begun to rationalize that disrespect that he gave his own fan, as if it is okay, so long as it wasn't directed at them. Ain't that crazy? Refusing to realize that the idea that he would even posture like that against any supporter of his means that he would do just the same thing to they dumbasses if they was at the right place at the goddamn right time. He didn't single out that particular fighter. That fighter had no face. He just happened to be at the goddamn right place at the right time. He just happened to reply to that person in that moment. It did not matter who the fuck it was. So what are you talking about? Oh, if it was me, that things would have been different. He wasn't talking to me though, so I just turned the other cheek, you hear? What? If he is talking to that fan, he is talking to you. That is a message to all his fans. An absolute message. He is talking to you by talking to one of you. Shut the fuck up and be a fan. This is the same man, let's not forget, that told his own fans, once again, in an absolute show of disrespect, that he don't even want y'all to approach him on the street because he don't fuck with none of y'all niggas. That's what he said. Don't even walk up to me on the street if you see me. Keep walking. This is y'all king, Red Light Special Davis. Don't say not a goddamn nail nothing if you see me on the street. You better keep your ass walking straight ahead. Don't even blink if you see me. Want nothing to do with you. This is Tank Davis. This is his PSA to his fans. Do not approach me. And this is who y'all running behind. Even up until now, beautiful people. This is who those people are running behind. Absolute crazy work. I mean, it's like, is this the Stockholm syndrome or what? If you've never seen it in action, here it is, y'all. Tank Davis and his fans. Stockholm Syndrome 101. 101. And the coping mechanisms from these fans are equally, out of this world when you really sit back and witness it, how they are trying to cope with this. All of a sudden, now these sassy ass man fans are trying to persuade themselves. In addition that, he's not really talking to me like that. He don't really mean that. In addition to that, these people out here trying to convince themselves into believing that after Purple Pain Davis, quote unquote, gets Jake Paul out of the way, that he is somehow going to find the wherewithal. He is going to click his heels 3 times and find the tenacity, the voraciousness, and the hunger all of a sudden to go and hunt all of the men he's been avoiding for the past decade. Oh, he just needs to get Jake out of the way, you see. Then he's going to spin the block. He's going to spin the block. And everybody on his hit list is going to get it. It's out of this world. He's going to magically click his heels and spin the block on every single competitor he's ducked for 10 years. All of a sudden, despite his call for retirement, despite him telling you he don't give a fuck about you, Despite him telling you legacy don't mean a goddamn thing to him, all of a sudden now he is going to find the wherewithal to go collect some straps and defeat the very people he's been shaking in his boots about. All of a sudden, let me just go ahead and go dismantle this great giant, this great threat named Jake Paul, right? And his killer instinct is automatically going to be activated, right? And he's going to, once he get Jake Paul out the way, he's going to start radiating and glowing with a beaming red light, just like goddamn Bruce Leroy, right? From The Last Dragon. He's going to get the goddamn glow around him. And he's going to go after all the people who've been ducking. Make it make sense, y'all. Make it make sense. He is going to somehow desire the very thing he don't give a damn about, which is claiming legacy and proving that he can beat the men that he's been avoiding, like his goddamn life depends on it. Do you hear this? He's going to spin the block. You just wait on it. This is the mentality. You just wait now. You hear? He going to spin the block. Really? Y'all going to be waiting a goddamn mighty long time. Y'all going to have about, a couple of goddamn great grandkids by the time that shit happens. You keep waiting on it and see what happens. It's absolute wild work to me that, the more emphasis, and I'm going to check in with you guys in a second. Just want to land the plane a little bit here. It's diabolical work to me upon observing all of this, you guys, that the more emphasis and weight and focus that the boxing public seems to place on the mystique of this mystical, mythological bag, the concept and notion of this, bag, right? The more weight given to it, the more relishment of and exaltation of the myth of the bag, the less value and merit seems to be bestowed upon the setting up of remarkable fights within this era of boxing. The more obsessive the parlance and the overall exaltation of this bag seems to be, the less importance, the value is being placed on creating legacy via the setting up of competition and proving oneself via competition. Nothing can create a warrior other than competition. He must compete. He must do that in order to carve himself. He cannot bypass that stage. That is fundamental to his making. You don't become a warrior by how many fucking followers you have. You do not become a warrior by posting cute selfies of yourself. You don't become a warrior by filling to the brim your resume with lackluster, tepid opponents. Iron will always sharpen iron. And all iron has to be forged in the flame. There is no getting around that. There is no circumventing that. A lot of these people sit and daydream. They want to fantasize about a fighter's credence instead of seeing them actualize that credence and earn it in real time. It's a very fanciful, whimsical, frail, and fragile mentality going on in boxing right now in this particular era. And we need to not give our support to that nonsense. none of it will make these men and women. They got to go out there and they got to get it. They got to hunt it. They got to earn it. They have to desire it. They have to take it for themselves. That's the way it's always been done. That's the only way it can get done. The cowardice is disgusting to me. We got Bud Crawford about to attempt what many people may call impossible, right? He is aiming to become undisputed in what? Is this his third goddamn weight class? He is attempting to do that, fighting for the first time in an entirely new division. And on top of that, he is doing this against arguably the most coveted fighter in all of boxing right now. What many think, right? As far as Canelo is concerned. Many people uphold him to that level because of his history and resume. But how is it that Canelo can be, deemed and seen as formidable because of his level of competition and revered for that by the larger boxing world? And on the other hand, Tank Davis don't have to prove nothing that Canelo had to prove. Whether he lost or won, Canelo was made via the men he fought. Whether he lost to them or defeated him. In fact, he got his start. He got his notability off of a loss to TBE Mayweather. He was made via a defeat he suffered to the best man of this era, or of that era at that particular time. And here Tank Davis is being saved from battle and having a level of entitlement that he supposes makes him the best or worthy of any type of credence, and people telling you to get on your knees to exalt a man who tiptoes past the fire. Y'all got the goddamn wrong one messing with me. He will no longer get any shred of accreditation as far as I go, so long as he continues to refuse to forge himself like every other great man has done, or every other great man who has attempted to find out for themselves if they are about that life. Bud Crawford out here attempting to do that against Canelo Alvarez. Like I said, arguably the most celebrated and decorated athlete right now. In other words, against a man who has dared to prove himself to one capacity or another. Whether you want to look at his, drug cheating past, that's a whole nother history. That's why I don't give him all the accreditation or whatever have you, right? But if you want to look pre his drug history, there is still a resume to account for before him testing positive for PEDs. There is still a resume that one can judge him off of. That's what Terrence Crawford is going up against in a couple of weeks. That looks like legacy to me on the part of Bud Crawford, attempting to do what many deem to be an impossibility. Devin Haney is another one. The young king, Devin Haney, one of Red Light Special Davis's biggest rivals, is looking to become a 3-division world champion also in November. In addition to already holding the prestigious title of being the youngest undisputed champion in boxing history. That is the young King Devin, attempting 3-division world championship in November against the young lion Brian Norman. That's looking like legacy to me. That's looking like valor and warriorship to me. That's what he is attempting. While Red Light Special Davis is fighting a businessman / exhibitionist / YouTube content creator. He is forging his name in the fire, Devin Haney. Brian Norman is attempting to do the same in facing the likes of Devin Haney. Salute to both of those beautiful young brothers. That is my fight of the year. That's looking like legacy and valor to me, what those young brothers stand to do in a few months. What is this worth? What is the worth of anything that isn't operative within the vein of that? What is the use for it, in other words, if it is not operating within that vein? Is it worth, the excuse of, the more casuals we get? That's a good thing for the sport of boxing. It's going to draw in the casuals, y'all. You mean the casuals who won't last beyond 6 months to a year? That's the casual you telling me? That this is going to ensorcel and intrigue and pull in casuals who don't have a loyalty or allegiance to boxing beyond the 5-minute trend that's going on right now? That's who you are placating to? Just because they are here for 5 minutes don't mean they're going to give a damn about it next year, or let alone for fucking the next decade. Casual does nothing for the sport. Casual has no investment in the longevity of the sport. They are momentary. Whatever they serve is for the present. It has nothing to do with the long term. Therefore, they are unreliable as a base. They can like it all they want to. They can come watch it all they want to. But to rely on that perspective or on that casual, fleeting, fickle, whimsical, crowd is crazy, because they are fickle. It is the diehard. It is the enthusiast. It is the ones that respect the sport that you consider and that you show respect to. Don't tell me, it's for the love of the casual. We're going to bring in a new audience of casuals. Is it worth the integrity of the sport for the 5 minutes of loyalty from a goddamn fleeting fan? I think not. I wouldn't bet the house on somebody who's going to be here for 15 minutes. Legacy has always been, beautiful people, its own standard. Greatness has always been its own standard. Valor has always been its own code and standard. And it's always demanded attention. Just because you have these things in place does not mean that it does not hold or garner attention or resonate within its own orbit or have an attraction factor to it, because it is based in concrete systems of value and integrity. The gimmick, perspective is always temporary when you operate in that vein. It's just entertainment, it's a gimmick, or we're going to use this as a gimmick. That's always a fleeting concept, a fleeting fancy. It is the heart in the center of purpose that holds the aspect and worth of anything together, that brings a level of value that lasts and translates no matter the generation. It transcends eras, always. Does not need a gimmick to transcend. It speaks for itself. That's very much being misunderstood and being left to go asunder in boxing. Lot to reevaluate in this current era. It's always going to be the heart that stands the test of everything. We got to remember that as boxing fans and not get caught up in the delusion. Let me check in with my people before we wrap this one up. My twin says, when I heard Take a Maniac say Devin should fight Benavidez, I knew that their brains are rotten. You remember that, twin? I was like, oh my God. the imbecility, you just can't make it up if you tried. You really just can't. The comrade says these fans have brain rot. Absolutely. You definitely mirrored the sentiments of the twin. Um, the king here for boxing, salute to you again. He says, the more I think about it, the more I don't want Tank to fight anyone. His career is just piss in the wind. Couldn't agree more, King, here for boxing. Just go on about your business. Okay? Why make the attempt? You said you wanted to retire. Your goal was to retire to end the year, without ever having to, see boxing again. You want to kiss the boxing world goodbye. You want to live a soft life for your babies. Go ahead and do that. You shouldn't be, within anything that you feel is killing you anyway, because those were his exact words. Here for boxing. If the beautiful family remembers some months ago, he tweeted that boxing is killing me. I have been doing this since I was 7 years old. I am now 30. Am I supposed to just stay in the sport for the people? Simply for the people when the sport is killing me? These are his words. Just go. Go on ahead. It makes sense when you put it in that context as to why he is ending this particular year facing the likes of Jake Paul instead of rematching the man that gave him the, the closest fight of his life. Right? And so the audacity and the goal of these coping, simping ass fanboys, in the boxing world that are saying, oh no, he's going to spin the block. Oh, no, he's just going to get Jake out of the way. He's going to fight Shakur. He's going to fight him. I'm telling you, I swear he's going to fight him. I'm telling you. They're fucking going crazy right now. Trying to make all types of justifications for this Jake Paul fight by saying that, oh, well, it's okay because he's going to spin the block anyway. I mean, just absolutely demented. He doesn't need to be fighting anymore. And I highly doubt that he will after November 14th. Get your ass on. Go tend to your babies and go live the soft life that you want. There's no point in staying here. You playing in everybody's face. You disrespecting the sport by having pretended all the way up until this point that you wanted to be here knowing that you didn't. You should have exited a long time ago, real talk. Oh my God, Raul says Tanisha be dangerous. Well, salute to my twin with the love in the super chat. He says, hold on, I can't see this. I gotta lower my thing. He says, I gotta put some color in the super chat for the queen. My twin is basically triple breading and deep frying Tank. Extra crispy. You heard? I mean, somebody got to do it. The real one's got to do it. You understand, twin? We got to do it. You have to call it like I see it. The real ones are going to call it like they see it. This is what's being showcased. This is what it's looking like. You know what I'm saying? I input the motherfucking coordinates on my motherfucking computer, and this is the estimate that I got, right? When I added all the goddamn numbers up, all the probability up, this is the goddamn outcome of what this is. Okay? No need to pussyfoot around this shit. No need to sugarcoat a goddamn thing. It is what it is. There's absolutely no reason, to beat around the bush about what we see. I'm just scrolling through here, beautiful people, seeing what y'all was saying. Exactly, twin. He said he started off with, I love you, Tank. Wasn't that diabolical, twin? I mean, I just read that like, is this real? And that poor man, whoever he was, he really did try. He really did try to add some syrup, some honey, some strawberries to that paragraph that he wrote. He really did try his best. And he still got shot at. Shots were still fired at that poor gentleman. You understand? Because Tank don't give a damn. He really don't give a damn. He told y'all countless times he don't fuck with none of his fans. He told y'all that. Okay? There's no sugar in the world. At least not of the kind with words that he is interested in. Okay? He made that very clear to his fans. These people are out of their minds. Oh no, he's gonna spin the block, you know. Oh, I won't support this fight, I'll support the next. How the fuck are you so sure that he has the next fight? Didn't he tell you he want to retire? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. The King Stephen says, content creators that protect him need to be called out too. 1000%. And they've run the gamut out here in these streets, and for the most part, we pretty much know uh, who they are. You know what I'm saying? I don't frequent and I don't visit the pages of the most notable ones or any of them, real talk. Um, but of course, I see on the periphery or via word of mouth or retweets of other people who may have followed them or have come across those particular pages who hold those views and have those particular, you know, biases, I guess. I come across those types of things and I see the things that they say, and I just, I'm just astounded. Uh, by the coddling that is done on those particular type of pages and all the justifications that they make as well. In fact, as we know, they set the tone for a lot of these, people who call themselves so-called boxing fans and supporters. Those content creators really set the standard as far as the narratives that are told, because a lot of these people, because they rock with them for whatever reason or another, they then take on the jargon, they then take on the parlance of those particular channels, and they begin regurgitating, what they hear, and walk around staunchly believing what it is that they have heard on those particular types of platforms, and they do no research, if to follow up or to look into what it is that they are being told, because it really is about a popularity contest, and it's much of that has destroyed and soiled a lot of the credibility of boxing as a sport. You know what I'm saying? And people think it's helping, but then you see people, or I should say, networks no longer wanting to be, host, uh, these promotional companies, or they don't want to, showcase them on different stations and stuff like that. You see a falling away from grace of boxing, right? Which was already beneath sports like football, of course, and basketball, which reigned supreme in the sports world. Now it seems that boxing is dwindling even further, right? And then you have the tabloid clown show circus that's going on within the boxing community. It just makes for a very tacky polluting of the sport. It's not helping in any way or capacity. And then you have these so-called content creators across social media. It's just all soiling the sport. It's disgracing the sport on myriad levels. And boxing seems to be paying a very heavy price for that. We'll see what happens as far as its future. Very interesting stuff going on indeed. The twin says, agree, competition hardens you, sadly. We live in a participation trophy era. Child, they want to give you a trophy for everything. Well, he tried. You know what I'm saying? Well, he did wear his best fur coat. You know what I'm saying? His braids was the most lit. So then we're going to call him the greatest for that. Like, what? What is going on? What is really going on here? Are we witnessing the demise of this sport? A slow, steady demise? I mean, if we kept it in the hands of these people, or we keep it in the hands of fighters like Tank Davis, go on and get your ass out of here, brother. Go on and get your way on. You out here cussing fans out. You're not making any fights that are worthwhile. You have no intention on solidifying legacy. In fact, you said you don't give a damn about it. What the hell are you here for? Get your ass on. He needs to be escorted out. Absolutely out of the sport. Get your ass on. Because there are young brothers that I'm looking to that have so much promise and potential, like the young lion Abdullah Mason, like the young lion Brian Norman. You know what I'm saying? There is still an interest to some capacity, as far as I'm concerned, in what Shakur Stevenson intends to do, right? Um, I am looking at Andy Cruz. You know what I'm saying? I could even say that I'm looking a little bit at Schofield and what he's going to do. He's a young man too, right? Interesting fight style that would be wonderful to watch develop and unfold, in the coming couple of years. Of course, we have the young king, the real face of boxing, in my view, Devin Haney, and everything that he intends to do and accomplish moving forward, right? And so there is still, a budding of hope and a materialization, that stands to continue to happen among these young, beautiful brothers that I am, largely in support of to one capacity or another, but that I'm in full support of as it pertains to Devin Haney. He is really the one upholding the sport for me. Okay, as far as it's the integrity and uprightness of boxing, it is absolutely hands down, without question, Devin Haney for me. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, all the other brothers that, like Abdullah, that I really, really am interested in. So that there is the potential there. And there is somebody like Devin who is already a certified, battle-tested elite warrior, that I fully back. So, I'm hopeful in that regard. But we just need to take the trash out, perhaps. You know what I mean? Once we take the trash out, hopefully we get some clarity. Because we don't have room for it in the sport. We really don't. Let me see what my other people said before. All over again. Yeah. Yes, I feel you. Yeah, you guys. So I think that's hold on, let me check to see if I didn't miss anything. Because I know I'd be going on and on. I think I missed this. Boxing fan times 4, salute to you and thank you for supporting the channel. He says he prefers Astroglide now. Not Astroglide. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess so, King. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think that's it for me. Wanted to get my thoughts out on that. I thought it was an imperative discussion for us to have as boxing fans. Salute to the King NBA D Nice. I didn't see you earlier. Salute to you. It's a couple of people I may have missed. Yes, I did. I missed Joseph Townsend, the King Joseph in the building. Salute to you. Salute to Freddie Washington in the building. He says, seems like he needed Floyd's guidance because since he's been on his own, his decisions haven't been good. Ciao. I mean, I don't know what to say. That's why I kind of deal with GTD promotions on a hypothetical basis, in my mind, because I don't see where, as far as the perspective was that he was kind of being held back by Floyd, as far as like the general thought process was those years ago. Now that he is on his own, he has made absolutely no attempts whatsoever, to show that that was a concern of his. He had no problem being steered away. If that was the case, as far as Mayweather concerned, he had no problem being steered away from it because now that he is on his own, he has not redirected the ship towards all the smoke. You know what I mean? So he had no problem with it then. He has no problem with staying away from competition now. And that's why you are getting a Jake Paul fight and being told to shut the fuck up and be a fan. So absolutely diabolical work. You know what I mean? Stephen L. The Mac is in the building. I see you, King. Big salute. Yeah, I had to scroll up. I didn't really get to see all the family who came in, but salute to everybody who came in. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for rocking with me on this Sunday and enjoying some wonderful. Caldwell said, what? I choose violence. He says GTD promotions equals guaranteed to duck. I feel you. Apparently, son. Apparently, that's exactly what is going on here, you guys. I definitely appreciate you all for joining me. Thank you so much to my twin, Daryl. Thank you so much to my beautiful sister, Cameron, my beautiful mama love, Chiquila Fields, the King Freedom, the good brother, Shelton, the King Stephen X, all the family who joined me. Oh my goodness, the King Bonnie. I didn't see you earlier. Salute to you here for boxing. Everyone, all the beautiful brothers and sisters, salute to the King Mind of Mansa Musa. I forgot you earlier. The King Raul Garcia, everybody who joined in. I really definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much to Caldwell. I appreciate you as well. Everybody, all the brothers and sisters, it's always love and respect. I hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead. And yeah, I'm going to end it here, you guys. Big, big love and nothing but absolute respect and heart to real boxing fans and real warriorship. That's what we uphold here. You know what I mean? So if it's not talking that, it's not talking nothing that we want to hear. You know what I mean? So that's it for me, you guys. I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful week. Peace and infinite blessings.